is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Karen Galley on the left and Wayne Lavery. He looks like Bruce Wayne if you see him walk out of a phone booth on the right. They are with the president and CEO of Patient News. Let's start with Karen on the left. Karen is the president of Patient News. Over the past 25 plus years, Patient News has worked with more than 7,500 dentists, including one of my buddies. I don't know if you saw me. She was on the show. I pushed out one of her videos you did with her. Did you see that? Which one did I push out? Let me find it real quick. It was.
Wouldn't be Hazel Glasper.
It was what?
Wouldn't be Hazel Glasper.
Hazel Glasper, episode 238, smartest, classiest woman. Yeah. I love that woman. And anyways, they work with more than 7,500 dentists and generated millions of new patients for their clients. Over this time, the company has transformed from a direct mail provider to a full-service marketing agency and technology company with offerings that include business intelligence, call tracking and scoring, staff training, web development, paid advertising, SEO, social media, and more. Patient News has been the recipient of countless awards, including being named a top 100 employer for 4 consecutive years, as compared with more than 70,000 companies across the country. They've received awards and accolades for graphic design, direct marketing, business practices, and environmental efforts. Clients get Patient News and Net Promoter Score of 86, putting him in the same servicing league as Zappos and Amazon. And so on his right, Bruce Wayne Lavery. Is your middle name Wayne? Is it Bruce Wayne Lavery or Wayne? Anyway, founder and CEO
Wayne.
Batman. We'll call him Wayne Batman Lavery. Is a strategically minded leader with an extensive experience developing effective marketing campaigns in the healthcare provider marketplace. Not one to sit still for long. In his spare time, you'll find Wayne on a mountain bike or ski racing on his new bionic knees. A good thing that the company headquarters has a state-of-the-art gym and spin studio. Also with the company since inception, president and co-owner, Karen Galley is a true road warrior. Anyway, I can go on and on and on for 20 hours, but well, no, really, you guys have an amazing flair for marketing, and you kids, a quarter of our viewers are still in dental school. I know that. Send me an email, howard@dentaltown.com, and just tell me how young you really are. And the rest of them are all under 30, but they think the best dentists in the world are going to learn bone grafting and sealants and bonding agents, and they say, they ask all these, what type of composite do you use? Like, dude, you got to have a flair for HR, attracting and building a great team, and you got to have a flair for marketing. And you guys have been the leaders in marketing for a long, long time. What do you wish every dentist knew about marketing that you knew that they're spending too much time looking at bone grafting?
Well, the first thing, Howard, is you didn't finish my bio, and it was going to end off with, you're more likely to find me, après ski. So that's why Wayne and I, make a great partnership. He's doing the skiing and I'm doing the après skiing. So there you go.
Well, what is après ski? APRES ski, après ski.
That means after the hill in the bar. That's where you'll find him. Yeah.
Well, I've just found my new ski instructor.
There you go.
Wayne will be on the hill, and I'll see you after that.
You said that much. So Karen, so après ski, APRE, après ski is when you go to the bar.
After you get down the hill.
I had this conversation with the late Omar Reed, who just passed away a Saturday or two ago I think he was 92 or whatever. But Omar told me something that punched me right between the eyes. Arizona has 2 ski resorts, and I told him I was going skiing, and he said, you know what? When I turned 50, I was at the top of the mountain. I looked down that mountain. He says, I used to start thinking of all the dentists that skied into a tree. And he said he slowly skied down, was done. And I thought, and right when he was saying that, one of my buddies in Albuquerque had just skied into a tree and lost about a year of work. But I only, when I go to ski resorts, I do only sit in the bar and drink all day long. And
that's the golden ticket. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Howard, to answer your question, marketing, if it was, number one off the top recommendation, it would be something like you got to go multi-channel. It's not a one-faceted, one-and-done type, program. I mean, marketing is consistent. Marketing's for real. It's got to be part of your strategic plan, and you've got to be where your patients are. So that would be my recommendation, is always be marketing if there was one thing.
Well, my recommendation is to never go into your business. I mean, I think your business, and no, seriously, I would never do what you do, because a dentist will call you up and they'll use your services. And then they'll tell someone on Dental Town, or he'll tell his friend, yeah, I tried this marketing thing, it didn't work at all. And then I'll stop him and say, well, how many incoming calls did you have in your office last year? No idea. Well, after the marketing, how many incoming calls you have? No idea. How many landed on your website? No idea. After the market, I mean, these guys, it's like a dumb, deaf, blind guy talking to his drunk dentist buddy at the bar, and they don't. I don't know. I've never seen any dentist outside of a DSO that even has the data infrastructure to even know what's going on. They don't know how many land on their website, how many convert to calling the front desk, how many incoming calls the front desk before they convert to scheduled in the patient, how many treatment plan presentations get converted, and at the end of the day, they just say, yeah, Karen and Wayne, I tried their stuff, didn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Well, Howard, you kind of nailed it with the information gathering and the data. And the great thing is there's no lack of data right now. And, we know dentists, they love information. So if we thought about it, with our good friend Chris Phelps, loves to talk about Colby. So, a dentist would be a 9863. So 9, meaning they love to gather data. And that's where marketing has changed over the years. And that's what these young students, this is really what they have to figure out, is the fact that, you're not going into it blind. The same information you have to make great decisions while practicing dentistry, you've got access to the same data for making great marketing decisions. So that's really where it's changed over the last few years.
Okay, but Wayne, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah, go for it.
If I land up 100 dentists, how many of them could tell you how many landed on their website last month?
2.
Really? Those must be the Canadians. They ain't down here. How many could tell you how many incoming phone calls they had last month?
Oh, maybe, between 2 and 4.
Okay, them are still from Canada. I ain't met them yet in the U.S. I mean, they just, my God, and then they'll argue about the megapascals on a bonding agent. This one's 25 megapascals, this one's 27 megapascals, and they wouldn't know the incoming calls in their dental office plus or minus 1,000. 1,000. And they're measuring megapascals on a bonding strength, and they couldn't tell you plus or minus 1,000 on the number of people who called their office last year.
Yeah. Not everybody loves the word marketing. It's been kind of that, dirty word. They'd much rather talk about details like that than how to brand promote, sell their practice. And, so they sometimes shy away from that based on their nature. But, that's why they need to, partner with great companies who can access that data, and work on their behalf to drive those results forward. And to your point, and to Wayne's point earlier, the data is all there and it's available. We just need to connect, we need to extract it, we need to help analyze it and provide the programs and services that are going to drive the ROI. Show them how many calls are coming in, listen to those calls, score those calls, help their team at the front desk, define that, ideal patient and, help them make those decisions because it may not be inherently in their nature. And we know that, to your point.
Oh, okay, but you got to slow down, Spanky. My listeners, a quarter are in dental school. They don't even know what a call scoring. They don't even know what that means. What you said scoring twice. What is call scoring when you're in dental school?
Yeah, I don't know what it is when you're in dental school.
No, I mean they're at that age.
Yeah.
They're still in school. They're learning the periodic table. They're learning applied math is physics, applied physics is chemistry, applied chemistry is biology, and applied biology is dentistry. So call scoring is jumping into grad school.
Couple steps ahead. No, for sure. So call scoring, you don't want to just listen to calls. You want to know how effective your front desk team is being on converting those calls to new patient appointments. So when we talk about call scoring, we talk about, with patient news, a 25-point scale. How are they managing that greeting? How are they doing in terms of, answering questions, tough questions like insurance? How are they doing in terms of actually converting that to an appointment? Are they asking for other family appointment times? And each call being scored on that 25-point scale, lets the dentist, have an idea of how his front desk team is doing. And it goes even a step further. If Mary's answering the call and she's having a tough time on, insurance, she can then refer to the scripting and the video and, get some support with that. So, that's all happening with patient news, and our clients have their finger on the pulse in terms of how their front desk is operating and what they need, in terms of assistance.
3 words I don't like is the United States, Canada, and Europe. I don't, because like Toronto, how do you compare Toronto to Montreal? Or British Vancouver, Columbia. I mean, I went fishing on the, oh my God, what was it? The Yukon River with my dad, where the Yukon goes into Alaska. I mean, if you've been fishing on the Yukon, in the Yukon, it don't look anything like Toronto with a retractable roof and a base. But anyway, long story short, same thing, United States of America. I mean, what are you talking about? Manhattan to Alaska, Mississippi to New York, the Euro, Germany to Japan, it's crazy. But so people will, like racism, where they'll say, they'll say an entire race of people, like the Irish are all drunk, when in fact only 38% of us are alcoholics. But people will just say,
Howard, I'm going to test that theory. I'm going to Dublin for St. Patrick's Day this year. So I'll come back with my stories of what's happening over there.
Oh, my God. I was so lucky when they had me lecture. The president of the Dental Association's last name was Ferran. How Irish cool is that? But here's the deal, though. Here's my racist deal. They'll just say direct mail doesn't work. It's like, dude, there's 211,000 dentists in America. I know people that just only live off direct mail. And then the person saying it's always some 30-year-old Instagram queen. And I'm like, well, Instagram queen, do you need an overdenture? Do you need an all-on-4? I bet you don't even have a cavity. But that lady doing direct mail, so only 1 out of 100 works. But it's 1 out of 100. They're advertising something, and she comes in and she needs a $50,000 dental case. So first talk to direct mail, because I know a lot of old people like me that know it works, and most people under 30 just think that it went out with the yellow pages. So address that. Did direct mail go out with the yellow pages or not?
Good question, Howard. So you're right. I mean, a lot of people think right now direct mail is dead. And actually the exact opposite is true. I mean, what's happened is yes, transactional mail. So yes, we're not getting our bills, and we're not getting a lot of statements in the mail right now. But the fact is direct mail for marketing purpose is actually increasing at about 2 to 4% a year. And the other great thing about that is that our mailboxes aren't full of bills anymore. So the marketing mail is actually standing out even that much more. So when we think about dental offices, we think about community. So in most cases, you're drawing patients from, let's call it 2 to 5 miles surrounding your practice. So direct mail has that opportunity to build your brand awareness within your market area, within that radius. And then you have to remember that there's really just one consumer that we're trying to connect with, and that's female head of house. And, that individual, that head of household, the direct mail, the fact that you're able to include additional information on healthcare, on dental health, you're able to introduce yourself in a friendly, non-obtrusive way.
You just said something that might have shocked him. Why just the female? Is that because you're a sexist and you just like women more than men? But why did you specifically say women?
Well, because they make 90% of the healthcare purchasing decisions.
I know, and it's so crazy. There's just some things that I wish I wish the whole world would focus on one thing, that Homo sapien is the species, the male is bigger than the female, and they have different behaviors. Chimpanzees are the same size, but in sapien, like say, girls make 90% of all the appointments, blah, blah, blah. And I wish they would focus more on bonobos, because you have sapiens, you have gorillas and sapiens, the man is much bigger than the woman, and there's a lot of violence there. Chimpanzees are the same size. You can't, they're the same size. But bonobos is a female hierarchy. So the woman is the 400-pound gorilla in bonobos. And that's why you hear people will say things like, a man says it, and they're like, all right. Then a woman says it, and like, well, that was kind of bitchy. What the hell did she say that for? And it's like, because you're a sapien, and it came from a woman. And I wish the world would focus on the difference between sapiens and gorillas, chimpanzees, neutral, and bonobos. Ask yourself, why does the little female blue whale swim down the middle and those big old boys swim on the outside? Because that's the way they're programmed. And right now, what you just said is that mom's going to make the appointment for the kid. Hell, they come out of the office, I'll say to a man, do you know your kid's birthday? I'm trying to fill out the insurance. No. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know your kid's birthday? Was there a Christmas tree? Was there a pumpkin? And then they'll say, well, Wayne Gretzky scored 30,000 goals. And it's like, we're not talking about Wayne Gretzky. We're talking about your son's birthday. The men are significantly different in the dental offspring relationship. True or false?
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, it's a proven fact. The female.
Yeah, it's a proven fact.
The healthcare decisions, but great in our human sapien culture that women look great and also get to make all the decisions. So what is where does that fit in the sapien hierarchy you've got going there?
Yeah, if you want to go to a PTA meeting and go to the parent-teacher conference, you're a girl. I mean, there's just difference, and we're getting this sensitive society where we can't say the obvious thing that boys and girls are different.
Along those lines, Howard, and sorry to interrupt there, but women also want information. They want quality information before they make a decision. So that's a kind of key differentiator at Patient News. Everything we do is utilizing content. We don't just send a postcard with a special offer. We send a high value piece that's full of value educated content, mouth body connection, information about, the family, children, depending on what the demographic is. And you get a much, higher response rate with a much better educated consumer with that high value content. And it is the female head of household.
Yeah, and what, to Karen's point, Howard, I'm going to just jump in here for 2 seconds.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we kind of take it one step further, and this is the information gatherer speaking here, is that we actually, with our direct mail and also with our digital marketing, we use a company called True Impact that does engagement analysis. And the engagement analysis that we use is with female head of house. So the language, the imagery, the colors, everything is designed with that consumer in mind. And at the end of the day, it just makes for a higher return on investment for, our clients, dentists.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go back. So back to direct mail though, is it age specific? I mean, when you use direct mail, are you focusing on grandma and not millennial?
No, not at all. I mean, I think we kind of have that presumption that it doesn't resonate with millennials, but the studies that they've done is that under 30 group still likes to receive direct mail, and it still resonates with them. Yes, they may take a little bit different path when doing research. They may go online immediately, but that doesn't mean when something's in their mailbox that they're not going to pick it up and look at it and read it.
Yeah, and just to finalize that, or to add to that point, Wayne, we're going to mail to the ideal target within each practice area. So that may be comprised of an older demographic. It may be comprised of a soccer mom, family demographic, but we're going to target and mail to the audience based on that individual practice, and the content will be reflective of that. It's not a spray and pray type approach.
Okay, this is Dentistry Uncensored, so I don't want to talk about anybody, anything that anyone agrees on. So let's go to first. Does when they ask me what courses, like they'll say, Howard, should I learn to place implants or Invisalign? I say, well, what are you asking me for? What's showing up in your office? I mean, what are your demographics? And I want to know, if everybody in your area is on Instagram and wants Invisalign, then do that. If everybody's grandma and wants implants and gum disease. So when you're looking at business intelligence, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, the horse or the cart? I mean, can you take an office and start targeting? Do you want to start targeting old ladies with implants or young kids with Invisalign, or how do you decide what the mix is going to be?
Yeah. Wayne, do you want to?
Sure, yeah. I'll take this one. So the first thing we do,
look, these questions are so bad, neither of them even want to answer. They're like, you take it. No, you take it. You take. I took the last shitty question. You take this one.
No, I put my hand up.
Okay. So the first thing we do is, I should just, let me take a step back. So we integrate, our business intelligence platform integrates with the practice management software. So we'll extract the patient list, and then what we'll do is we'll geoplot it. So we put it on a map, and we see exactly where your patients are located. So we can look at trends, and we can determine, what your ideal patient looks like. Then we have some very sophisticated tools that do some demographic analysis that talk about all those things that you just said. What's the age of these consumers? What's the family size? What's their income? What buying channels do they use? Do they, look towards Instagram? How are they purchasing goods? That starts giving us the information and the background that we need to start making those proper marketing decisions. So it's not, voodoo magic. It's literally just using the information we have in front of us and using the tools that are available to us.
And then when I see people arguing about marketing as a, moral ethic or whatever, it's always at a study club, and it's always an old guy, and he's always mad because the young person is talking price, and once they start missing price, you got that what is it? I'm a boomer. What's the younger boomer?
Millennial.
The okay boomer. But when a millennial says okay boomer, it's usually about price. You got some 60-year-old dentist with ED saying, I don't like that clean exam and x-ray for $49. And then their response is, okay, boomer. So is price a big deal in your marketing? Do you think the economic incentive is a big part of the return, or not really?
I'm going to say, it's the positioning of the practice. I mean, you do need to identify your differentiating feature. What is your competitive advantage? And that could be service-based. It could be the fact that, you have a senior demographic and you're providing value-added information. It could be a soccer mom demographic and you're providing, convenience and on-time appointments. It could be that you're going for a value price model. I mean, it comes down to the type of practice that you want to run and the positioning and where you're going to find competitive advantage. So the short answer is no, you don't have to slash prices and provide all kinds of offers if you provide enough value to justify your price point within your market.
So the 5 P's of marketing, going back to when I got my MBA from ASU, that was before Fred Flintstone was even born. The 5 P's were product, price, promotion, place, and people. Is that still a thing in marketing?
Well, without a doubt. but the thing is I think data is the missing point there, because now data plays such a huge role in marketing that it's not.
So you're saying data is more important than the 5 P's of marketing?
Well, I mean, the 5 P's, there's certainly components of those. I mean,
They're
price,
informed by
placement,
the data.
product, but now we're looking at, targeting. We're looking at return on investment. And return on investment isn't just using, ADA industry averages anymore. I mean, return on investment, you can integrate right into your practice management software and determine that this marketing campaign generated the Smith family, and the Smith family brought 3 dependents with them, and this is what they've spent so far over the last 6 months. And you can loop that right back to the campaign spend and get yourself an ROI right down to the penny.
Okay, I want to get to specifics. So if my homie calls you, wants to contact you, and by the way, this is no commercial. No one ever has paid to come on this show. I'm not saying someone couldn't. I mean, if it was the right, if I got if I got enough millions of dollars, I will sell my soul on this program. I'm just kidding. But first of all, how do they contact you? Is it patientnews.com?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, patientnews.com. If they wanted this business intelligence where you extract my patient list and tell me what I have, how do they do that? And what does that cost to get like a diagnosis exam? An X-rays, a diagnosis and exam. What does that cost?
So, our onboarding process, we start with a free discovery session, if you will, and we get a little bit more background and detail about your practice specifics. We get you connected to Zebra, and we'll provide you, a value-added consult for no charge. We can do a demographic analysis. We can share your data points through Practice Zebra. We can do an online audit. That's all free. And then from there, we'll recommend, see if there's any gaps in your patient journey and where marketing may be able to fill a few holes, and we go from there. But our price points start with Practice Zebra at $249 a month, and go right up to direct mail full suite campaigns with marketing $60,000 a year. So
I want to slow you down because you just said Practice Zebra, and that's a new thing you're doing. I saw that on the message board the other night. There's a thread on Dental Town under marketing, and someone Patient News and Practice Zebra. So that's a new deal. So in case no one's heard about that, will you talk about what that Practice Zebra?
Yeah. So
Sure.
Practice. Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. I'll take this one. we're joking here over who to take a question. So Practice Zebra, it's a business intelligence platform that we developed 2 years ago. It integrates with your practice management software. And probably the difference between us and some of the other business intelligence or providers is the fact that we're looking at every component of the patient journey and giving data back on that. So not only does it report on the health of your existing patient base, it looks at your new patients relative to marketing campaigns, spends, demographics, etc. We've already discussed the fact that we have a call tracking and scoring system. Ours is a little bit different than some of the other ones out there in the fact that it integrates with the practice management software and correlates actual financial data to phone calls. And then we also have the digital footprint side that talks about all your Google Analytics as well as reviews. But the interesting thing is because we're tapping into that data, there's all sorts of kind of really cool tools that we've added to that. So we have a product called Review Booster that post-appointment sends a text and email in an effort to generate reviews. Works great. We have a appointment scheduler, or I'm sorry, an appointment reminder service. We've also got a kind of a really cool tool that we've just developed, which is a dental membership plan enhancer. So it's a communication cadence that goes out to your uninsured and underinsured patients in an effort to build your membership plan. So, Patient News, we're not going to win the development race. We're a smaller company. We've got 65 full-time staff.
That's a huge company. 65. I only got 50.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is I mean, we're not private equity backed, and you've seen a lot of money thrown around in dental right now.
But I'm so confused. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to finish that up by saying, we're not going to win the development race, but we've got a really great team. We've got some great advisors, and the tools that we develop, we feel have a real impact on productivity and production.
Mm-hmm.
So on your practice Zebra, I'm still confused on who are the flies.
Go ahead, Karen.
because that research, they just why do zebras have stripes? They just figured out it was to repel flies. No, I'm serious. Zebra stripes. Yeah, I'm posting it on that thread. Patient News and Zebra. I'm going to post it. So I say Wayne or Karen, who are the flies? But yeah, zebra stripes are proven that it was that design was to repel flies. So I want to break this down into more.
Howard, I've got another zebra trivia for you. Are zebras white with black stripes, or are they black with white stripes?
I'm going black with white.
I'm not telling.
Yeah, that is interesting. But so let's go back to the practice manager information, because I thoroughly I've kind of reached a whole new level of happiness now, because I've just accepted the death of private practice dentistry, because I realize I've told him for 32 years, look, you're stupid Dentrix and EagleSoft. When you're trying to pick between Dentrix and EagleSoft, it's like deciding, do you want to die from a heart attack or cancer? Would you like your leg amputated above or below the knee? And then the fact that it doesn't hook into QuickBooks Pro, and then their question is, so basically DSOs are just rapidly advancing because the dentists just don't know their numbers. And the more you tell them, the more they don't care. And finally, one day I realized, well, I guess they just all want to be a pharmacist at Walgreens. I've never gone to the pharmacy at Walgreens and the pharmacist said, God, I wish I owned my own place. So they're just dying a slow death because they don't give a crap about any of their numbers. And when you sit there, but let's pretend there's like one guy, and he's just like some one drunk Irish dentist in Toronto that asked you, what's these practice management systems? Are any of them better? I use Open Dental. Is there any practice management system that when you do your business and intelligence is better than the others? Or are they all equally shitty?
Well, I don't think they're shitty. It's just the fact that...
Crappy. I meant crappy.
Yeah. It's just the fact that they provide a lot of data. It's kind of the equivalent sometimes of like trying to drive a bike with, a jet plane navigation. Sometimes you just don't need all that data. Obviously, there's certain components that you need to run your practice with, but the numbers that you're going to take action on, sometimes just aren't available in the PMS.
So you've made a dashboard that's pulling, is it pulling numbers out of the incoming call log? Incoming calls or website traffic?
Yeah. So first of all, it's connecting to those, shitty practice management, platforms, and it's pulling data right out. But to Wayne's point, it helps to disseminate that data to a few key KPIs that are you can take action.
And what are those KPIs that you like?
I love the new patient and your new patient value. It's amazing. A lot of dentists don't know, the comparison between their total, their average patient value and their new patient value, which is usually more than double. So, the new patient information, what the history is there, their active patients, what percentage of their active patients are scheduled, what percentage of their new patients are scheduled to come back for a second visit. These are data points that, you can draw directly from the system, but they're not necessarily visible when you're just in your existing PMS platform. So we really help to pull those data points out and provide that feedback to the practice and help them to take action to drive the revenue.
Yeah. And the other great thing about it is kind of one-stop shopping. It's, you've got the business intelligence components. You've got your call tracking and scoring. You have your digital footprint, your reviews. Everything's in one dashboard. So you don't have to go into 3 or 4 different platforms to view the data. And it's all there for you. It's just single sign-in.
So back to KI, you have patient value, new patient value, family ratio. Talk about more key performance indicators that you like.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to, some of the ones that I like are, everyone's talking about new patients. I got 1,500 new patients last year. I'm doing great. Well, not only do we report on new patients at the same time, but we also report on lost patients. So at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, what's your net new? Yeah, 1,500 might be great, but if you attrited 1,700 over that time period, you're on a skateboard going up a hill.
So let me explain this to the kids. So here's and in fact, I want you to analyze your mom and dad's practice, because when I go into these dental schools, a quarter of these kids got a mom, dad, first cousin, uncle, somebody in the blood line is, and you can always tell because they have that I inherited a genetic disease look in their face. I mean, you can just tell. Wow, something's wrong with this person. It's inherited. And no, I'm just kidding. But so they look at the deal and they say, they go back and I'll say, okay, your dad's from Katy, Texas, and he's practiced there from age 25 to 65. And you're going to go back into him and join him after graduation. And how many hygienists has he had your entire life? And he goes, Bessie. She's got a bell around her neck, and we put her in room 1, and we feed her and everything. I'll say, okay, so you've had Bessie, the hygienist, in room 1 for 40 years, and every month your dad's got 20 new patients a month for 40 years, and Katy, Texas ain't grown one person since you were born, because in Katy, Texas, every time a girl gets pregnant, a guy leaves town. So how could you put 25 new patients a month on a dental office schedule and never increase the size of your practice? How could that mathematically happen?
Yeah, because they're not scheduling to come back for another appointment. They're losing as many or more than they're onboarding. I mean, if you're not doing any marketing, we know the average practice is losing 15, to 20% of their patient base just through natural occurring attrition. So unless you've got that new patient flow, and it's outstripping your, patients that are falling off the schedule. We've got in Practice Zebra clickable lists. You see the percentage of active patients who are not currently scheduled. You can, take action on that. There's a list right in front of you, and if they're lost, if they, have left the practice, haven't been in for 2 months, you can go back after them. You got to keep the patients, with your retention marketing as well, which we haven't even touched on. There's the acquisition marketing, but then there's that loyalty loop and the retention component. You can't lose them out the back doors, faster than you're getting them in.
Yeah, I firmly believe, I mean, if you've had the same number of hygienists for a decade, then it's just, here's the simple math. Every time you put a new patient on her schedule, an old one fell off. You just been treading water for decade after decade. But another problem they have is they finally realize, they say, okay, I need to do marketing. but they freeze because what does that even mean? Do I need a new website? Is this social media? Do I need to get an Instagram page? Are we talking direct mail? And a lot of them, this sounds so archaic to ask, but they bought that old practice in Katy, Texas, and he's had a Yellow Page ad for 40 years, and she's like, does she even cancel the Yellow Page ad? I mean, and if someone was saying, my world would be so much greater. I hear this all the time. I pay all my rent, mortgage, equipment bill, computer, insurance, professional dues. Everything's just hunky-dory. But, if I just got 10 more new patients a month, I've already paid all my bills. It'd be nothing but net. So if she just wanted 10 more new patients a month, would you say build a new website? Would you say direct mail? What would you tell her?
Well, I don't think any of those marketing activities, operate in a silo anymore. They're all connected. So it could be a combination of all of the above. I mean, it's a website. It's generating reviews for that website. It's potentially a direct mail program that's building awareness. The crazy thing is, towns like Katy, Texas, or, small cities in the Midwest, that's where we see, these super solo practices, because the guy that figured it out is the guy that knows I've got a population of 50,000, and I bet you I can get 20% of those people coming to my practice, and I'm going to shut the doors on my competition because these guys figured it out. And up in Canada, we like to say those guys are making hockey player money,
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you're a dentist and you like hockey, there's something wrong with you. You can't be pro dentist during the day, then knock him out at night while you're drinking beer. But yeah, whenever I meet a dentist who one guy is bringing in 2 to 4 million, they're always in a town of under 20,000.
You bet.
And they just own the town. And in fact, I tell them, you're not even the dentist anymore. You're the mayor. Of the town. So I'm really, so this call tracking, I just have a hard time talking to someone about how their marketing's doing when they can't even tell me how many people call their office.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 57 and they can't tell me, so call tracking.
Yeah. So we put a dedicated phone number on every piece, on your website, on your direct mail, on your Facebook, ads, whatever it is you're doing. And when you have a dedicated phone number there, you can track the results, all of the incoming calls right back to your practice dashboard in Zebra. We then listen to those calls. We talked earlier about scoring those calls and about providing that front desk conversion. We have an amazing tool in Zebra. It's called the What If Calculator, and you don't have to spend an additional penny on marketing to drive considerable additional revenue and production to the practice. All you need to do is answer more calls live and convert more calls at the desk. So you can see how, the industry averages for call answer and conversion rates. You can see what the top 10% of dentists are doing in terms of call answer and conversion rates. But if you can just answer more calls and convert more calls, you don't need to spend one more penny on marketing, and you can drive a massive amount of revenue. So, that what if calculator is a pretty cool tool to connect with.
I just found out zebras are white with black stripes. So we solved that.
Thank you, cheat.
But my mother, who raised 2 Catholic nuns, says that's why God made Google. That's her at 83. She says that 3 times a day. That's why God made Google.
I don't know if you've noticed my subtle zebra references that are going on here behind the scenes.
She's Canadian, so I know there's beer in that mug. That's what they do up north. So you are a big fan of culture. I got to tell you, I don't want to throw one of my friends under the bus in Phoenix, Arizona, but he's one of the most successful lawyers in the world. And every time I go, I'm in Arizona, and every time I go to lunch with him, I say, dude, how do you do it? You must be a genius, because your television has the 1-800 number, the billboard has the 1-800 number, the radio has the 1-800 number. I mean, call me brain dead, but how the hell would you know if that money was coming from the billboard, the TV, or the Yellow Pages? How would you?
Well, it's funny, you've hit on something there, Howard, and it's attribution. And to your point, how do you know unless you have dedicated call numbers on the piece? That being said, attribution is a tricky business. You can send a direct mail piece with a dedicated call number, but patients aren't necessarily going to call from that direct mail piece. They may receive that piece, and this is where it gets back to the complication of the patient journey. They may receive that direct mail piece and go to your website, do some further research on your website and call from that number. So, attribution is something that, and back to Wayne's point about the synergistic approach to marketing, I like to look at the overall impact that marketing is having with the practice. Yes, you can disseminate as much as possible and look at the individual channels and ROI, but what is delivering, practice production? What is, is the revenue on a steady incline? Is the new patient flow, active? Are you successful? Is overall results of the practice, successful in moving in the right direction? Zebra is the closest you're going to get in the market to finding true attribution on every single marketing piece. But after that, if your buddy is doing well with his 1-800 number in multiple channels and he's highly visible and it's driving production, at the end of the day, that's what's important.
I want to go back to your dashboard. So, first of all, if she's working at Aspen right now and she's thinking about having her own, is there any practice management system you like more than the others?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, we integrate.
So you're agnostic?
Yeah, I mean, we integrate into 95% of them. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah. on this dashboard, what you're doing is saying, okay, since my Open Dental isn't hooked up to QuickBooks Pro, that you decided, you're not going to fix Quicken and you're not going to fix Open Dental, so you're just pulling numbers. So you think you call it a middleware where you're just pulling numbers from other deals to make a dashboard. How many numbers are you pulling for, and how sophisticated do you think she needs to be to do her marketing, or do you think that it's something they should outsource, where it's just too damn sophisticated? Because what I'm trying to do is help my homies in Arizona. We're ground zero for DSOs because Arizona passed a law that said if you're a dentist licensed in any other state, you can come here. You don't have to pass boards again, nurses, doctors, accountants, all that stuff. So 18.6% of the dentists in Arizona work for a DSO. And when you look at the distribution line, there's 5 states, it's not even 1%. So this is ground zero. So in Arizona, that dentist across the street is part of 5, and most DSOs are not 1,000 location, Heartland, Aspen, Pacific. Yep. Most DSOs are under 30 locations, and 10 of their offices are doing great, 10 are doing okay, 10 are losing their butt, which is what you would see in any expansion. So I'm 57, so I lived through 4 economic expansions and contractions. I graduated from high school in 1980. That was the biggest contraction. Graduated dental school in 87. Black Monday was 87 contraction. Then the Y2K, March of 2000. Then Lehman's Day. And during this next contraction, 1/3 of all those DSO offices are going to be liquidated because during an expansion, private equity is just throwing money at you. Yeah. But when they turn off the faucet and you're losing money, you're not getting free cash, and that's called the business cycle. And Joseph Schupner got a Nobel Prize for the business cycle, and the business cycle isn't going away because monkeys without tails are making all the decisions on Earth. And after about 10 years of monkey decisions, the tide goes out to sea, and you get to see who's swimming with no swimsuit on. So but until the tide goes out, and about 1/3 of these DSOs are liquidated, my guy has to compete with the dental office across the street that is 5 to 20 locations, and they got a girl like you. They got someone in HR, they got someone in legal, and they got someone in marketing. And so she's got to wear 5 different hats, but her little marketing hat that she only wears maybe, I don't know, there's 168 hours in a week. I bet she don't think about it 3 hours a week. She's got to compete with someone like you guys who are thinking about this shit 24/7. So can she compete with that DSO wearing 5 hats, or does she need to work with a firm?
So, Howard, I just came back from a great session with Dr. Chris Phelps. He's with the Phelps Institute. He talked about, planning, dental office planning for 2020. And we talked about the DSO movement. He calls it the tsunami. The tsunami's still coming in. To your point, who knows what's going to happen when the equity dries up? And obviously they're growing through acquisition, but not necessarily at the practice growth level. So they're going to have some challenges there too moving forward. But, Chris Phelps was talking about the fact that how do you stop a tsunami? And the way you can stop a tsunami is by becoming the mountain. You need to stop it in its tracks, and you can do that by putting up barriers. And one of the greatest barriers is your branding, your marketing, and how you can differentiate yourself and your service offering from, what the DSOs are typically doing. So there's a lot of ways that you can build up your practice to compete, with this, tsunami in terms of the DSOs. And for sure, marketing is one of those things. Finding the differentiating, finding that servicing model, making it a special environment. It's not just about getting new patients in the door. It's about how, the experience they have once they're in your dental office. Do they feel special? Are you treating them, differently? Are you explaining? What's your conversion rate on your not just your calls, but on your treatment plans, and right through to create that loyalty loop. What are you doing in between appointments? Once that patient's out the door, they're going to be inundated by those DSOs offering whatever they're offering, a lower price, or, and you need to be in your patients' homes and in their email boxes, between appointments, reminding them that their dentist cares about them. One of the reasons patients leave practice is one of the biggest reasons is indifference. It has nothing to do with anything else other than the fact that there's another opportunity and they don't think their dentist cares. So you've got to, strengthen that loyalty loop with in-between appointment communication as well. But to answer your question, they can definitely compete against that tsunami. They just need to build their walls and become that mountain. Let that tsunami go around them, and it'll die out in the end.
And what will die out in the end?
Well, possibly to your point, when that equity dries up and, they have to.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about this. I'm actually, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about their age. I love being 57. My 4 boys have turned into 5 grandkids. And so I have 4 boys. 4 of my 5 grandkids are boys. I do feel sorry for the little girl because I don't think she's ever done a girl thing in her life. The last time I saw her, we shot a wild boar, and I'm sitting there thinking, shouldn't we be in a Barbie cart or something? I mean, we got to figure out anyway. So I when I got out of dental school in '87, there was a dental supply house on every corner, and it consolidated down to just Patterson and Shine and Burkhart and Benco, and then it deconsolidates again. I got out of dental school in '87, 40 years ago, and there was 1,000 brewing companies that consolidated all down to Budweiser and Coors, and now it's deconsolidated. So the business cycle of expansion, contraction, consolidating to deconsolidating is just what humans do. It's a dance they do, and they're always going to do this dance. And the DSOs are they're so full of shit. I mean, none of them can go public. They always say, well, we don't want to go public. Dude, you'd sell your mom for $1 million if you could. Don't tell me that you don't take Wall Street money because you're just a sacred cow. You don't take Wall Street money because they wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. There's only 2 publicly traded in Australia. One 300 Smiles, Pacific Smiles. There's only one in China. It's actually Singapore. It's HQM. But they can't go public because everybody remembers Orthodontic Centers of America on NASDAQ, $1 billion valuation. The whole damn thing imploded. And now they're seeing what happens when Smiles Direct Club. Isn't that funny? When I got out of school, a big screen TV was $5,000, and me and Wayne and Karen couldn't lift it if we had a gun to our head. Now it's $500, hangs on the wall 3 times better. So Smiles Direct Club came out and said, my God, we can just oral scan this. No, AI will do the diagnosis. We don't need an orthodontist. We'll take it from 6,500 to 2,500. And man, the orthodontists got together. They've sued them from every state, every angle. And it's like, I'm looking at Orthodontic Centers of America. I'm looking at how they treat Smiles Direct Club, because God forbid you make ortho 1/3 the price for poor people. I mean, that's just not going to happen in our country. And so the DSOs they have problems there. They have problems for. They're just too big. They're too big of a legal target. But they do some things well. They get better locations. They get better marketing. They all have a call center. I mean, Aspen Dental, Bob Fontana, I had dinner with him the other night. He just opened up a new call center in Chandler. I mean, it's bigger than 5 of my dental offices. And he spends $125,000 a day to generate 15,000 new patient incoming calls to that call center, where every person answering that phone is trained to convert that incoming call to a butt in the chair. And then I'm looking at my dentist across the street every time I call him to go drink, and he's like, "Can you please hold?" And then that's the whole phone call. And it's like, my God. So the call tracking's got to get more sophisticated. What percent of dentists can tell you, this is now January 27th. So for the first month of January, how many dentists can tell you how many calls went to voicemail?
Well, probably not that many.
Well, actually, the answer is none.
Well, the thing is, Karen's already alluded to that, or not alluded, but spoken to that fact that you're right. I mean, it's not just not only the number of calls that are coming in, but what percentage did you answer live, and what percentage did you convert to a new patient appointment? Those are things you can control. You can train your staff to the same level that Aspen Dental can train their staff to. You have the opportunity to take control of your practice. It's in your hands.
And when you say trade him, do you do that? Do you recommend the Scheduling Institute? You just recommended Chris Phelps. He's with Call Tracker ROI. Is that what you recommend, or
Goose? Yeah, he's got a golden goose as well. But Wayne, go ahead. So our tool, obviously.
Well, that's part of our success is our client's success. So we have great account managers that handle a set number of clients, and literally, the account manager becomes their best friend. So the account manager is going to work with the team on training. We've got videos. We've got PDF
you said the account
manuals.
Manager will be your best friend? So, seriously, so you have alcoholics ready to hang out with me? And
you know what, Howard? You've met some patient news team members at Townie meetings, etc. We get clients that come into our booth, and it's hugs and kisses for everyone. That's how strong those relationships are with that account manager. It's unbelievable. So anyhow, that account manager is going to work with the front desk team and making sure that they're trained to the best of their ability. But the thing is you've got to measure. You've got a measurement of success to start with. So you've got a baseline of the number of calls that you're answering, a baseline of the conversion rates, so that you can measure against that whether you're improving, and how each, actually right down to the front desk person by name, how well they're doing. Because sometimes the pain points might be with just one person at the front desk. So you can focus your training just on that person. You don't have to train the person who's converting 78% of their calls, but you better focus your activities if someone's converting 35% of your calls, because that's money that you're not realizing.
So I really like the Scheduling Institute, because when he started that thing 2-3 decades ago, it was unique. It was not a Me Too movement. He knew all the hygienists, went to hygiene school. My assistant Jan went to the Apollo College. Everybody, I went to dental school, and the receptionist was just trained off the street. They just pick her up off the street. They never train them. How do you get, because all the money I invest in you, It's basically, I better hope I find really motivated patients dying to get in, because I know when you do marketing and they call your office, in any other business, it's called a lead. But my homies don't know it's a lead, and they don't know it's a fly ball they need to catch. They just think, it's your duty to convince me to find an appointment. You call them up. Well, you want to come in Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 4? Actually, I like to come in today. I don't give a shit what you want. I mean, so how do you train the staff to close these leads? Because I know you'll generate a ton of leads. I just know at DSOs that they don't let new patient calls go to their offices at Aspen. They go to a call center, and they want one manager monitoring 7 incoming calls. Otherwise, they won't close them. And my dentist, I mean, when I go back to do a root canal, I've left the universe for an hour. I mean, you're in there like Stevie Wonder picking a lock for an hour trying to fill these canals, and you have no concept of what time it is. You don't even care. And when you're done, you look up at the clock and you're like, damn, man, that hour just went by like that. So you don't know what your receptionist was doing on the phone for an hour. You don't know what she was saying. You're not recording the calls. You're not measuring the conversion. So how do you get from just complete blind faith in your receptionist, and the blind faith should be that she is embezzling from you and she's not closing calls? So how do you fix that?
Well, so the number one recommendation for the team at the front desk is ask for the appointment. You'd be amazed. We listen to calls, the types of information and the communication. We'll have some patients calling saying, do you do tooth whitening? And we'll get an answer like, yes, but it's expensive. Like it's crazy what's there. So this is when you're listening to the calls, there's no guesswork involved. And it's not just a mystery call.
Oh, you know what you ought to do? You ought to take the craziest calls. And send them to me, and we'll do a Howard Speaks. We'll just push out a follow-up deal of the craziest phone calls that you've recorded, because I got that from mine. They asked my girl, answering the phone, 20 years, does Howard do Invisalign? He used to, but he doesn't do that anymore, because I switched from the brand to a non-brand. It's still a clear aligner.
Yeah.
But she said, no, you don't do it anymore.
No, it's incredible. But, to answer that question, when you're listening to every call, not just a mystery call or not just 1 or 2 calls to get a feel for it, but when you're listening to every inbound patient call, you can start to see the patterns and the challenges that the client, that the practice is facing. We do a word cloud. We also use AI. So we're listening live, human beings listening and scoring those calls. But we also use artificial intelligence. So, there's a word cloud, that you can see for every call that will just highlight, potential challenges within the call. We also do, missed call alerts, instant alerts if a call hasn't, been picked up. We also do missed opportunity alerts. So if you, Howard, phone the dentist and you don't book that appointment, our AI identifies that and immediately contacts the dentist and says, hey, Howard just called, but he didn't book an appointment. I don't know what happened, but you better listen to that. You may be able to save it. So there's missed call notifications, there's missed opportunity notifications, and every single call is scored. There's no guesswork. And in terms of the training aspect, we have some tools. We definitely have some scripts, we have some videos, but you know what? Sometimes it even takes more than that. And there's lots of great partners out there too. There's, Front Office Rocks. There's, to your point, a bunch of other, consultants that really focus on that aspect. So, don't leave that wanting. That would be my advice.
So when you're talking about when you built Practice Zebra and you talk about business intelligence, did you start get a Python programmer, and is this artificial intelligence? I mean, when you did that business intelligence, is this actually AI with Python and all that?
Yeah. So the first thing we did, Howard, is we went out and hired a world-class CTO who came out of a business intelligence environment. We've got 5 full-time, full-stack developers, and
damn, homie, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so he controls this team like an orchestra. I mean, half the time I don't know what he's talking about, but at the end of the day, he can take the input from the advisor team that we have. So it's world-class dentists, practice management consultants that are providing input on Practice Zebra, and he can make it happen. And then,
I tell all of my grandchildren when Taylor says, I'm going to be a dentist like Grandpa, I said, well, Grandpa wouldn't be a dentist. He'd be a AI teacher. He'd be an AI programmer. He'd go learn Python, because I firmly believe it's obvious that the only thing, I mean, math, applied math is physics, applied physics, chemistry, applied chemistry is biology, applied biology. So the Earth's 5 billion years old. Biology is only 500 million years old, and humans only showed up to the last 50,000 years. And our only purpose was to transition to droids. And right now, all the outside of the atmosphere, everything's non-human. You got Voyager, you got Mars. So all Homo sapien was this little blip to go from a biological animal to a flying AI droid, because you with your little natural intelligence and opposing thumb is going to be no match to artificial intelligence. And I've seen 5,000 years of natural intelligence, and I know that can be improved about 20 quadrillion %. And I'll tell you, young kids, that being on top of this game 5 years ago, nobody talked about AI. But now you go to Glidewell, and instead of having a human read the incoming impression, they're having AI read it, and it's kicking out the impression. The AI can read that thing plus or minus 4 microns. Your monkey eye is 50 microns. Your Delta, you talk to Delta, and now instead of you send in an X-ray for a root canal, they're having AI read it, because they just busted some chick in San Diego that sent in the same X-ray 89 times for $1,000 root canal. Now she's looking at 10 years in jail because her natural intelligence thought she was smarter than her iPhone. I know my iPhone's smarter than me. There's only one thing I'm smarter than my iPhone. You know, when you send your mom a text and then like 5 hours later it was never sent. I mean, come on, smartphone. Really? A text sitting there 5 hours? Really? You couldn't figure that one out, iPhone?
Yeah, well, and Howard, and this AI, it's only cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I heard, and the more I hear them getting cussed out, the more I'm telling everybody to do it. I'm sitting there at one dental company. It was in Israel, and they're like, "Can you believe that guy? We got 5 dentists on staff, and that AI guy makes twice as much as them." Well, then the 5 dentists should go back to night school. I went to night school and become an MBA, and I just wish, but anyway, tell your grandkids, it's all AI. It's going to change the world. It wasn't in dentistry 5 years ago, and now it's all over dental insurance. It's all over Crown and Bridge. And how are you specifically using AI in Zebra? Is it like, does it hold like the fly swatter and bats and the flies, or what?
Well, the team's analyzing a whole bunch of information. So we've already talked about how we're using it with the call tracking and scoring, because phrase recognition and just analyzing, the hundreds of thousands and millions of calls that that we've recorded over the years. It can learn from that. But the other thing the team's working on right now is looking at when patients are attriting. Like, what's causing them to...
When patients are what?
When are they attriting? When do they stop coming to the practice?
Did you say attriting?
Attriting? Attrite?
When did they leave? When did they leave?
To our international listeners, when she says process, she means process. When she says hygienist, she just means a hygienist. When she says barbiturates, it's just a barbiturate. And what was that one? What was that word?
Attrition.
I said
attrite. Were you saying attrition?
Yeah, attrition.
Okay.
When patients attrite.
Attrite. I've never heard that. When patients attrite. Okay,
yeah.
Well, that one flew over my head. But anyway, patient attrition, which we know is equal Every
Yeah.
time you give them a new patient, one comes off the chair because they've never increased their capacity ever. It's kind of like a dental office is a cup of coffee, and you just been pouring coffee in it for 40 years, and the coffee's all running down all over the table because when one person comes in the front door, another goes out the back door, or you would have increased your capacity and added another chair, another hygienist, and you'd have made more money. So we know the flat line.
Yeah, and
What's
this
that?
is where I can help. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Yeah, so there's lots of information we can look at, and lots of information that, Michael and his development team are looking at right now that I probably can't speak intelligently about. But, they can look at attrition levels by provider. They can look at attrition levels by reappointment percentage. So, if you're not able to connect with these patients X number of times before that 6-month period, is that triggering them? So what are the communication cadences you need to develop to minimize attrition? Who do you need to train within your team to minimize attrition? That's your lifeblood. The same way that we try to maximize our lifetime value with our clients, a patient is worth between $4,000 and $7,000. How do you maximize that lifetime value? We've already talked about natural attrition. There's going to be a component of your patients that are going to move away. They're going to die. But there's that other 85% of your patient base that you need to make sure you're getting them in every 6 months for their recare. You're maximizing, your elective services. You can't sell elective services if you don't get somebody in for recare. You need to see them. You need to be able to get that opportunity to diagnose them.
And I think until the next major contraction, I think you're going to still have a lot of money thrown at these DSOs because they do not. They're already okay. So the bottom line. So why do I keep saying this, and why do I know it'd be true? Well, number one, when you're 57, there's got to be some advantages to diabetes and erectile dysfunction and all these things like that, and it's experience. And the bottom line is they're saying it all the time, cash is trash. Why? Because in 5,000 years of recorded history, you always want to held the same hand as a superpower. During Rome's time, you want to be in gold and silver. Your superpower, America, has $19 trillion in paper debt. So what do they want to do? They want to cash is trash. They want to run $1 trillion a year deficit to deflate it out of there. If I owe you $1 and I can go print $2, I just cut your dollar in half. So they're going to depreciate the cash. We have a big expansion going on now. It'll be followed with a contraction. And why do dentists always do good? Because when you work with your hands, you have value. When you're a welder, a carpenter, or a dentist, dentists are all surgeons. We won't be replaced with AI. Because, you go to an emergency room. Right now, when you go in the military, when you go in a submarine, $1 billion nuclear-powered Trident submarine, and it goes under for 6 months on their mission, they're not coming up because Karen has a doctor's appointment. No. And you're down there with AI, and the AI they say is as good as an emergency room physician, but we're surgeons. We're working with our hands. Retail, anything that can be transferred in a package at Amazon is getting slaughtered. If you drove across Phoenix, Arizona, you'd think the number one franchise in Phoenix was Space Available, and it's just because Amazon's blowing everybody out of there if it comes in a package. Dentists are safe. I need to give you a shot. I need to work with my hands. I'm a welder, carpenter, all in one. And these guys that think they're all going to make money off, I'm a dentist, but I'm just going to make money on other people doing the dentist. Good luck with that, man, because the patients don't like going to the dentist. They don't like getting hurt by a shot. They might not like you, your assistant, your receptionist. There's like 5 different people in there that she might not like and never come back. And you might have been the best dentist in the world, but she didn't like the receptionist, the hygienist, the assistant. And quite frankly, I'm the dentist. I know it's never the dentist. When people say they hate the dentist, that's just short for I hate the dental assistant. They never actually meant the dentist. So the bottom line is dentists are going to do good, But you're wearing too many hats, dude. And one last piece of advice to dentists. In 1900, there was only one specialty, and he delivered your baby and amputated your leg. And now it's 58 MD specialties and 10 in dentistry. So to go out there and think that you're going to be a jack of all trade and master root canals and TMJ and endo and all that stuff is completely delirious. And it's the same thing in business. If you think you're going to be a dentist and know the difference between a statement of cash flow, a balance sheet, and your 3 accounting deals, and know all your numbers, and have a flair for marketing, and have a flair for leadership, and I mean, there's only one Bruce Wayne, and we're talking to him right now. And he's the one on the right. You can't be everything, dude. So if you want to get sophisticated, build a family network of referrals so that when someone comes in and say, I got a pediatric dentist for that. No, I'm not going to retreat a root canal. I got an endodontist for that. And if you think that you're going to be smarter doing it all, you're going to be wrong. You know who the millionaires are? They're conductors. Their back is to the audience. And if they need a drummer, they're not going to go learn how to be a drummer. They're going to hire a drummer. They need a violin. Who's going to sit there and play the violin every day? They hire a violinist. Yeah. And the millionaire, you didn't go learn Pythagoras. You hired a CTO, and you got in 5 programmers who probably don't have enough personality to become an accountant, let enough to be a dentist. And, you hire those people. So millionaires build teams. And the people who are going back to 1900 are trying to do everything themselves.
Exactly. Go for it, Karen.
Quick comment there, Howard, and that is that to your point, not all of these DSOs and corporates are massive organizations. We do work with a lot of clients, and we kind of have a niche in that, 2 practice to 20 practice, doesn't have a potential necessarily to want to get bigger than that. But, they can be very effective they're a little bit more agile. Obviously they can have a strong brand and some local branding in communities. So don't want to be dissing those, kind of small. No,
I'm sorry. That was my fault. I should not call DSO or group. I should call layer management. So whenever I see group practice, that's what I call group practice. Group practice is, I was in a small town of 100,000 on the south side. I went ahead and put offices on the north, east, west, and then I could hire 5 people. I could have a Karen do HR. I could have Bruce Wayne do marketing. I could have, I could have one flat layer, and they make everybody more money, more efficiency. It's awesome. It's that second layer. So that's happening in, like, say, Arizona. But now I got a second level, and I don't want to say where they're at in Effingham, Illinois, or Bob Fontana or whatever. And they need, and private equity, and they need another 14%. Are you shitting me? My lab and supplies isn't 14%. So I see no scales of economy in level 2. Thus, that's why none of them are on the NASDAQ or the Wall Street Journal. And the only reason private equity is buying that stuff is because they know the stocks are a bubble. They know the U.S. bond market's a bubble. Hell, they know cash is trash. And they're seeing a dental office with 35%. They're seeing a 15% net profit on a dental office. So it's not that dentistry looks good. It just looks less disastrous than anything else they can buy. It's like, why is the United States the reserve currency? Well, there's 200 countries at the bar, and they're all drunk. But when it's time to go home, the U.S. dollar is the least drunk. I mean, you're not going to give it to China. You're not going to give it to the EU. You're not going to give it. The British pound couldn't even cover the daily volume if it was all traded out. So the bottom line is, I think group practice is far more successful as long as it's one layer of management. And I started group practice day one just because I was lonely. Hell, I just walked out of dental school. I was all by myself. I didn't even have one person to say, look at that x-ray, ain't it cool? And I was so damn dumb. Did I hire a 65-year-old dentist that's been around the block for 40 years to what? Oh, no, I hired a kid just as young, and Bob Savage. I mean, 2 25-year-old kids. Why? Because that was fun. When I thought of hiring Bob, I just instantly giddy. I'm like, I got a buddy. And but if you're 25, do your
listeners know Bob Savage?
What's that?
Do your listeners know Bob Savage?
I don't know. He's a dentist up the street, but he worked with me for 7 years, and it was just fun. So group is more fun. When I see dentists having fun, they're always in group. When I see a dentist eating Vicodin and drinking Listerine, he's almost always by himself, okay? So group is more fun. And a group of groups with one layer of management, one president, one HR, one accountant, one legal, one marketing, they're crushing it. But when they go to the second level of management, where now they have a national headquarters that needs 14 to 17 cents off the dollar, now it's laughable and comical, and I don't even know if you're trying to pitch that with a straight face, because it don't work at any level.
So Howard, our practice Zebra is fun for groups too. The reason being, they can see the results of every single one of their office locations within the platform. So you can see which of your offices is outperforming, which office needs assistance and where. So, you get that full enterprise solution to, for those groups of 2 to 20, it's a beautiful thing and fun.
And I've also noticed it really pulls out the competition, because some of my friends are like that. They're like, no, I ain't going to lunch, man. It's like the 27th of the month, man. I got 3 days to beat Wayne. He's got 2 more fillings or 3 more crowns or $5 more. And my God, the last 5 days is like all they're going to do is make sure they're number one in their group of 13 dentist in 3 locations or 4 locations. So yeah, I think group is fun. I prefer group. It's also good when something happens. Like I just had a dentist fall down roller skating, fell down roller skating and hurt himself and couldn't work for a while. I mean, so shit happens. Yeah. But hey, I've been big fans of Patient News and Karen and Wayne. I can vouch for them, absolutely. Dental Town can vouch for him. I know you had better things to do tonight than come talk to my homies, but Karen, Galley, Bruce, Wayne, Lavery, thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to my homies. It was an honor to podcast you both.
That's good. Thanks, Howard.